Absolutely. I'll start with the now, and then we'll dip back and then come back too.
Okay.
So my name's Michael Camp. I'm now I'm considered a regenerative systems architect, immersive technology strategist, and ecosystem builder. I've got about 30 years of cultivation experience under my belt, and then I operate at the intersection of hemp infrastructure, XR, be it AR, VR, MR, what have you, AI integration, blockchain, climate technology, and then that all push through global impact initiatives. So being the CEO of Honeycomb Hydro, we've created an amazing tech called HempSat, which is a regenerative infrastructure as a service for farmers and just for data collection and the ability to educate on regenerative agriculture, but also to protect that data for the farmers, those who create it, produce it, and be able to monetize it through the other systems and mechanisms of the world for ecological impact. And then of course the products made from it. I started back back when I was a young tot. My uncle was developer for the missile guidance systems for the F-22 and stealth bombers. So I was very intrigued into once I found some top secret books that I absolutely opened, and to go through and find out what was there. I was completely fascinated and fell in love with just space itself, from the aeronautical and the F-22, F-16, just a fascination with these amazing jets and the systems they're made out of. I always wanted to grow cannabis in space. I've been growing since I was 12. So when it came to of all these things to go, I was like, man, this would be it'd just be so amazing. What would zero gravity do on the agricultural component, not knowing, and just little things like that. I ended up getting a 98 on my ASVAB, so I was set for astronautical piloting, astronautical engineering through Colorado Springs, and I ended up getting busted for cannabis and was no longer qualified to go into space that way.
Yeah.
So
great way to get even, by the way.
Yeah, I doubled down on the plant, got to know a lot, and then it just got to know a lot of the growers and the culture of it, and just the agricultural aspects in it. And then in the past about 15 years, the last 10 real heavy, the industrial components and all the different layers that cannabis sativa L actually creates and is, be it the segmented of hemp or marijuana or ganja or the made up numbers of 0.03% and all of this propaganda and nonsense to really take away that sovereignty, like you were speaking earlier, rights that we have as people. And the plant provides it in a food sovereign level. It is food security. It is clothing. It is fuel. This is hemp. Like, there's so many different layers of the products itself that comes into its regenerative aspects. One for foods and the payloads into space. You need to, if you're not growing food there, you're definitely not going to be moving and doing things there. So if the food is that establishment isn't available, you're not going to go there and then do it. That's right. Like the payload you were talking earlier, I think, it should be robots. It should be the right seeds, agricultural training components, and start developing the moon regolith into the organic substrate that it can be. So in my path of the cannabis, right, my company is a marketing, branding, storytelling company, if you will. And that's how I've had to navigate for those other brands, be it medical or the industrial side. So I got introduced to Alejandro Otero, Star Horizon, another amazing hempster and plant enthusiast and forward thinker. And we were building the HempSat through a hackathon that I did for an Avalanche. So in 30 days, we built HempSat, which is a middleware technology, connects to low Earth orbit satellites to then allow farmers to document what they need to, handshake into the sensors needed on the ground, and just that data accumulation to really know what's going on, and the power of the satellites plus ground plus that data being owned by the farmers and actually protected for those who should have it, right? And that data is key. So in all of this movement and in space, we formulated the HempX Symposium. So we just did release that on April 19th of this year. And we got 12 speakers together It was a full cadence, 2.5 hours of what the plant's capability is for space expansion, exploration, and economy itself. So it was set up in 6 different acts. So from defining what the system is, to the biological foundations, to the measurement and material validation, to the actual industrial supply deployment, the systems under constraint, which is a huge component in any spacefaring, when it comes to closed loop systems and having zero waste. And then, like you spoke earlier, of ethics and the governance and the culture that's surrounding these new places we're going to be inhabiting. We fully believe you need to take the plant with you in more ways than just the food components and the CO2 scrubbing and the biomaterial. When it comes in of hemp, the Hemp Symposium, you can only see on our school, on our Gaia Guild school. We kind of got it token gated in our little education platform. It's school, SKOOL. Our platform is GaiaGuild.com, but it's free for now for the next first. We're 73 members. Once we hit 100, we'll be, putting it in the $5 a month for people to actually come in, add value, and then further evolve into the hands-on components of these farms and space, be it earth farmer, space farmer, the connective tissue of how they both, especially with closed loop systems, how cannabis, what it can do here on the planet that needs to be done on the planet is absolute must in these other, closed loop systems on Mars, Moon, other planetary bodies. So it's biomaterials is huge. The testing into it, right? Hemp construction just went through on ASTM standards. It's as far as it's went. In Hemp Symposium, one of our speakers breaks down what we need to do and what boards are needed for ISO standards and these further standards of biomaterials made with this plant that can further enhance the goals and the missions that we have there as well, as just as a civilization. I like that a lot of people, when we talk on space, they're like, why are you looking at space? You're just trying to get away, and the world is under such destruction, and it needs to heal instead of trying to get away from it. So it's a systematic step to go right back into the regenerative components of the plant and how powerful it truly is, that we just look at it up in space because it's a closed loop system. It's amazing of how many they'd say, we should do those same things, phytoremediation, right? Or CO2 scrubbing, or whatever you wanted to look at it. We should do that here on Earth. Really? I'm glad you figured that out. That's
really?
For 3 decades. Yes, you're right. We should totally do that here.
That's a good idea.
It's having that hands-on activity component. We're all of one thing. It's all interconnected on multiple layers, and we don't. And I don't feel, and the group we work with, without the power of the plant and the recognition of it, the biomimicry of what nature shows as a system. If those things aren't present, how successful will that next be? Is pretty much how we look at it.
Cool. One of our guests, one of our folks asked a question here. How confident are you in using hemp for regolith processing? Have you done any sort of simulant experiments? What does it do to the soil?
Well, the hemp itself as regolith processing, not by itself. That special recipe, and I have not done the research in it on my own hands-on. That is an individual. His name's Scott McStacy. He's one of the speakers in HempX. He's who brought the ASTM standard getting recognized by the Commonwealth of Virginia. Because right now, only Virginia, Minnesota, and Austin, Texas recognize hemp as building material. So we have a long way of having to get through recognized as the material into the ISO standards and the things that these satellites can really use, and radiation shielding and all kinds of stuff that this plant does in its byproduct form, but cannabis, red clover, and mycelium, those three together is called the Three Sisters system. and that in combination is what you would use to convert the moon regolith into the pull in what you need, pull out what you need, extract the poisons, and actually create that organic growth. Is the combination between the three, because of the root systems then dying out and certain symbiotic that I'm not that expert of.
But it is kind of a functional, even though it's an artificial symbiosis you're creating.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, that's cool.
So then I see, like if you go to the movie, how growing potatoes on Mars, so then maybe, you throw some fecal in there and then it goes and works. But I don't know. Right. But the level of the testing, that more of that's needed. Some of the research and those specifics has how much of the regolith that's here on Earth has it been done, right? The levels of these testings and certain things of the materials. You can do it here on Earth, just like at the analog astronaut facilities and the growing and simulating the other moon or Mars here while doing things is a whole lot more cost effective than trying to go R&D it out on the moon or Mars. So it's just getting that testing level in when it comes into the radiation components and other things that be very interested on what can hemp and mycelium and hemp and these other plant materials that have those building and protection markers in them to really be utilized as these products in space itself and on Mars and the moon.
As this picture is kind of building in my head, I see like barriers to adoption, but nothing is necessarily insurmountable. Are in your own view, are you actually seeing a pathway that we could navigate towards adoption of hemp as a crop on the moon or Mars?
Absolutely. When it comes to the food aspect and just sustainability of 300, 500 soul mission and things like that, when you start incorporating the plant on it just as food, but then what it builds into of the other complementary systems, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Because the energy, the fuel components, there's just so many layers of what it can be used for that there's not many other any other plant on the world that has it as many uses. But you could always go up to fueling the first rocket from biofuel that's made from hemp, right? That hasn't happened. Yeah. How we're starting of things like with HempSat, as well as having these hemp fields that are documented that are under the Vera standard carbon credits to offset for hemp carbon credits to be used to offset a launch, and not just the launch itself from the fuel, but all of the other components, in a CSR level, an ESG level, a regenerative actual impact, and how to use this plant in its many, many versatile ways to really be a more conscious society. And I think have, stronger materials, faster technology. There's so many different ways to use it, in the 3D printing components, and just, it's limitless damn near. It just, the testing of those things the bar needs to be moved, in any way I can move it, we do.